Why are there no large cities in the game? Millions of villages with hundreds of inhabitants have been built around the world, but they have not grown into cities over such a long period of time. This is strange because there were large cities in the Middle Ages, and the setting of Minecraft is based on medieval weapons and primitive medieval technologies. But just like in the Middle Ages, there are no cities. For some reason, the inhabitants do not unite into something bigger, something larger than just a village. The inhabitants of Minecraft are the largest civilization in terms of population. I recently counted their population, and there are more than 20 billion of them in the entire vast world of Minecraft, which is several times more than the population of our planet in real life. Moreover, they are literally the only surviving people living on the surface. That is, there is no competition. Other people like us have died out from the zombie virus, and we don't know much about their structures. It would seem that nothing prevents the inhabitants from uniting in megacities rather than trading with difficulty from one village to another. But it's not that simple. The inhabitants deliberately do not build huge cities and do not move into them, but try to live in small, isolated groups of 10 to 12 inhabitants per village. Perhaps if it weren't for these reasons, when we entered Minecraft, we would see huge cities and entire states of inhabitants. But today, we will figure out why this is not happening, and most likely never will. Sit back, Grit is here, and we are starting Minecraft Theory. Creating a city from a village is in itself a more economically sound decision. In other words, cities are very beneficial to everyone at once. Most people in real life have stopped living in villages and rural areas because cities conveniently provide all the products and services necessary for human life. For example, in the past, it was convenient to go outside and walk a couple of blocks to find yourself in a medieval market. If you needed something made of wood, you knew that there was a woodworker living in your neighborhood. Your neighbor was an experienced blacksmith. And if you got sick, there was a doctor living across the street from you. Many people with a variety of professions gathered together, helped each other, and provided each other with the necessary resources. And it was beneficial for both sides. If a person fell ill, it was convenient for them to quickly see a doctor, and it was convenient for the doctor to have more clients. After all, now he treats not the population of the village, but the population of the city. And this is logical in principle. Even in the Middle Ages, when everyone worked in the fields, cities with 10, 20, or 30,000 people were the basis. Minecraft villages have 10 to 12 nosy people, and it is not a fact that all the necessary professions of residents will be found there. But the inhabitants, to their own detriment, do not unite in cities, thus becoming easier prey for marauders. The inhabitants do not create cities, thereby hindering their technology and science because at all times geniuses have gathered in cities rather than sitting in villages. And even if something is invented, try to convey it to all the villages. Information spreads much faster in a city, but the zombie virus spreads even faster in a city, and this is the first assumption that arises when studying the world of Minecraft in detail. Once in 100 villages, there is one where peaceful villagers have left their homes. The buildings here are abandoned, covered with cobwebs and grass both inside and out. The doors to the houses are broken, and some of the residents who did not manage to escape have been infected. It is clear that at some point in the past, this village experienced an invasion of the zombie virus. Or rather, it did not survive. Invasion of the zombie. Sometimes zombie raids like this come to the village. They start breaking down the doors of houses. But this can also happen with a regular raid by looters, who leave the village defenseless and ransacked, and the golems, for example, steal it to the bandits' outpost, and after the marauders came, the zombies, and infected the defenseless inhabitants who had nowhere to hide. It is quite possible that the method of dividing into smaller settlements into villages like these is precisely a way to protect against zombie invasions. What scares the inhabitants most is not the living zombies trying to catch up with them, but the very presence of the zombie virus in the air of the upper world, which, when inhaled, infects some species, such as piglins, in 20 seconds. For them, it's like the plague that ravaged the large cities of medieval Europe. Because people lived in cramped conditions, they had a lot of contact with each other. At the same time, there was little space in medieval cities. The streets were narrow, and there was filth everywhere. It was a wild, unsanitary environment, and this could await the inhabitants if they united in large cities. In such a city, one infected resident would spread the virus among the entire population much faster than would happen in a village, and the losses in the city would also be greater. If a village dies out, well, 6 residents will become infected again. Some may flee to neighboring villages to seek shelter, but if a city dies out, it will result in the loss of several thousand residents. People in the real Middle Ages never lived in a world where the air was saturated with an infection that took control of the body and forced them to hunt down other living people like themselves. The inhabitants of Minecraft live in completely wild conditions. Their lives are many times more difficult than the lives of people in the real Middle Ages. Perhaps they created villages as their only chance to resist the infected air. I think this is only a temporary measure because deep underground in the basements, the inhabitants were working on a vaccine. When we talk about a vaccine, we mean the standard way to cure an inhabitant with a weakness potion and a golden apple. Gold in the game is used for healing in all its forms. A golden carrot, unlike a regular one, provides more satiety and thus restores health. A golden slice of watermelon, when boiled in a potion, gives an instant healing potion. Piglins also use gold, not only because they are greedy for everything shiny, although that may be a factor, but primarily because they have long understood that gold kills viruses, and they are terrified of the zombie. Underground laboratories were created, hidden from prying eyes. There, a method of treating the inhabitants was almost completely developed, and this is most likely the first reason why they are not currently uniting in large cities. If they had an antidote to the zombie virus, they would not be afraid of it spreading in cities. But the thing is, even though the antidote has been invented, most villages do not know about it. The information has not reached the residents living on the surface. When we arrive at the igloo and go down to the basement, we see 2 residents. One of them will be healthy, without a profession, and the other will definitely be a potion maker. This potion maker is the one who conducted experiments to create a vaccine, but became infected during the experiments and locked himself in a cage. The healthy resident standing next to him, who has no profession, is most likely the infected, nosy person he caught earlier, on whom we conducted experiments. And as we can see, they were quite successful. By the time we arrived, the vaccine had been invented, but unfortunately, no one outside the igloo knew about it. There are also other reasons why the inhabitants did not become a whole state with large cities. The villages are self-sufficient. Yes, each village individually does not have all professions at once, but they have a lot of food. I would even say an excess. Wheat, which is essentially bread, lies scattered along the roads. Other resources can be obtained from other villages through trade, which is what they do. Other resources, a resident with a special profession, a traveling merchant, will travel from village to village with resources. So the situation is such that the residents are comfortably settled, and there is no particular reason for them to leave the village. They do not go beyond its borders and are essentially waiting for the world to become at least a little friendlier for them. But we know that it will not become any friendlier for them, if only because the dark forests are home to those who dream of destroying the village. To this end, they are willing to study dark magic and create new types of weapons, as well as train their fighters. By the way, unlike the villagers, the bandits have a clear chain of command, and this is another reason why the villagers do not unite in cities. The villagers have no strong leader, no emperor, no local king, and not even a village elder, which is necessary for minimal unity. The bandits will have one in the future, which will lead the marauding armies to conquest. The inhabitants live in villages in relative democracy, where everyone is equal. Perhaps the inhabitants need such a strong leader right now, and this is where our player comes into the world, and if you think about it, this is exactly who the resident civilization needs. A strong leader who can build and destroy the world faster than anyone else. Someone who knows redstone's magic and technology, who can use all kinds of weapons, who can explore and delve into the deepest depths of the world. They need a leader who will tell them that a vaccine has been invented after all, who will protect the village from raids by marauders. And in fact, that is our character. We have the power to create a large city by settling 100 inhabitants there. Our player has the power to be a leader and manage these residents, telling everyone what to do, directing them to work and to the right farm, telling everyone what to do. The community of residents fearing the zombie virus has shut itself away in its villages, hoping that someone will lead them, and apparently that moment has come. That concludes the theory. This is Grit signing off. Good luck, everyone, and see you later.